Welcome back to Inside Post Challenge, part of the Road to the Breeders' Cup, sponsored by Adequan. This week we're going to take a look at the Super Derby, powered by YouBet.com. Hi everyone, I'm Tom Law. I'm joined by Ed DeRosa. Ed, we're outside again, another nice, crisp fall morning.
Beautiful.
It is.
Still summer, though.
It is technically still summer.
That's right.
We got a super weekend coming up. We got the Super Derby down at Harrah's Louisiana Downs.
Beautiful.
Always an interesting race. Usually, I always kind of look at this race as a race where the local horses always seem to factor. They don't necessarily always win. They always seem to factor. You get the ship-in horses. You get a lot of the Midwest horses, maybe the guys that skip the Travers, skip the Pennsylvania Derby, races like that. I got to tell you, I looked at this race for a while. To me, it's a real puzzler. What do you think?
Well, going into the Derby, I was all over Regal Ransom. And if I thought he was good enough to win the Kentucky Derby, I have a hard time picking against him in the Super Derby. I know we're getting to the point where, 2-year-old form at Saratoga going one turn, probably not as applicable going a mile and an eighth in Louisiana. But that debut race was just so fast. And then in Dubai, he beat Desert Party, who a lot of people thought was, as we usually hear in the spring, Godolphin's best chance to win the Derby. Ended up Regal Ransom was. I loved him then. I can't get away from him now. I'm a sucker for him. I'm a fan.
Well, he's 8th in the Kentucky Derby, and he hasn't run since then. I'm a little bit concerned about him. The reason why I found the race to be so puzzling is really because of the presence of him.
Sure.
He's coming back, hasn't run since, early May, first weekend in May. He's coming back and running a mile and an eighth. That's a pretty tall order coming back off the bench. When he ran those races in Dubai, he was coming off the bench. 7 furlongs, 1 mile. He was obviously up to the task. He's obviously the class of the field.
Right.
In here, you also got a couple interesting horses. Soul Warrior comes out of the West Virginia Derby, where he beat Mind That Bird, and Big Drama, sort of a strangely run race where he, sat right off the pace. Big Drama was just out there by himself. He kind of wore him down in the stretch. Mind That Bird couldn't get by anybody. Thought that maybe Mind That Bird was going to win that race. He actually picks up the services of John Velasquez.
Nothing
so
wrong
Steve
with that.
Asmussen. Steve Asmussen also has another horse in here. He's got Uno Mas in here, who comes out of the preview, which is sort of the prep, the local prep for this race, along with 2 other horses that are coming out of that same race.
Right. I think this race is going to be interesting from a class perspective, as you mentioned. Because Soul Warrior beat Mind That Bird and Big Drama, 2 of the heavier 3-year-olds this year, so to speak. But you and I were talking earlier, if you look way back, there's horses that have competed in the Bluegrass Stakes, Triple Crown Prep. We saw Beethoven on one of the running lines. Uno Mas was a horse I sort of liked in the Fairgrounds prep season. So I think this is going to be a good test to sort of see, where the different regions stack up in the grand scheme of the 3-year-old season.
Yeah, Uno Mas chased Frisian Fire down there in Louisiana earlier this year. You also have Al Stahl's horse in here. Blame comes out of the race called the Curlin, which is at Saratoga, sort of the prep run right around the Jim Dandy, but sort of a prep for the Travers. He beat Gone Astray in there. Gone Astray comes back and wins the Pennsylvania Derby by many open lengths.
Impressive winner.
Blame, they thought about running in the Travers. I think they thought a little bit wiser, maybe take a different route, go to the Super Derby with him. Al Stahl Jr.,
for the money.
Louisiana guy, so it certainly fits for him in here. The horse you mentioned, the horse that I'm going to go way back, I'm just going to go a little bit against the grain just because it was such a puzzler in here, is Masson. Ron McAnally ships him in from Southern California. He's actually going to make his first start on the dirt in here. Comes off a mile and eighth win on the grass at Del Mar. Garrett Gomez is going to make the trip. Not much going on in Southern California this time of year with Fairplex going on, so it's not as if Garrett Gomez has given up 10 live mounts at Oak Tree or Del Mar for this, but Garrett Gomez coming in for a $750,000 race. He obviously must think a lot of this colt.
Definitely.
Who actually he shipped in to ride him in the Bluegrass. He was 3rd in the Bluegrass behind General Quarters and Hold Me Back. And Hold Me Back obviously ran well in the Travers last time out. So
a lot of class angles.
Yeah, sure is. Very, very interesting race. Small field, competitive field. Don't forget to get your picks in for the Super Derby.